good afternoon, and thank you so much for coming in. Like she said, I know that some of you guys came off your shifts, and some of you probably haven't even been to bed yet, and you're waiting and ready to go. So I appreciate you guys coming in, and I hope I make this worthwhile. I'm so excited about this presentation because I tried to tailor this the best I could towards you guys. Now, for me, sports was everything from the time I was born. Now, right now, I'm a speaker, an author, and the founder of Movavi, like she said. But from the time I was born, it was said that I was born with a ball in my hand, which is kind of ironic, seeing how there's only one hand that ball could have been born in, right? Now, with being born in the town I was born out of DuPont, Illinois, sports was like a religion. If you were born a boy or a girl, you were meant to be a DuPont Indian. You were meant to go on and play high school sports. You didn't think about anything else other than sports. Now, from the time I was born, year after year after year, past the birth, I was doubted by people. They said that I couldn't do the things that other people did. Now, for me, my main passion was baseball. I loved baseball more than anything, more than school, more than chores, more than anything, more than hanging with my friends. I wanted to be out on the baseball diamond. That was me. But from the time I was a kid, all the way from coach's pitch to kid's pitch, into middle school and to high school, people said that I couldn't play at the next level. They said I would not be good enough to play at the next level. I was cut from my 6th, 7th, and 8th grade baseball team. After beating all the kids that made the team over the summer, like I struck them out. I knew I struck them out. And in 7th grade, when I tried out, I knew I'd made that team. I knew it. In my gut, I knew I had made that team. I went to the list, I didn't see my name, and I knew something wasn't right. Like, this can't be. I was playing with these guys all summer long, and now I'm told that I'm not good enough to be on this team. I'm not good enough to play with them now. And so, instead of going into a poor pity party and thinking, woe is me, how could I not be on this team? I decided it was time to go to work and go and get extra help and go to another coach and just spend my time devoting myself to this sport so that when tryouts came back for 8th grade, there was no doubt my name was going to be on that list. So I go in, I do this training with this coach. He tells me, man, I don't know why you're not on this team. I don't know why it is. It must just be because of your hand. It's the only explanation I have. They just don't have faith in you. But he said, after we're done here, I just know you're going to be on that team. And so 8th grade tryouts come around, and I'm pumped. I'm excited for it. I get through the tryout. I was one of the hardest throwers. I was hitting the ball better than most. I was like, there's no way I'm not on this team. It's Friday night. Friday Night Lights, football, right? We're headed to the football game. Before we go to this football game, I knew that the list was posted up at the school. I knew it was time to find my name on that list at the school. So we get out, my mom takes me to the school, I get out, walk to the front door, go up to the list. Sam. Go down the second aisle, don't see it, probably excited, right? Just excited, I'm missing my name, just not seeing it. Go to look again, it's not there. Now instantly, it really hurt. I was like, I devoted everything to this sport. I had given everything. I had played against these guys. I had beaten them, and now I'm told that I'm not good enough yet again. And I could have quit. But when life hands you adversity or something where you feel like you have the option to quit, you have two options. You can quit, you can give it all up, or you can go to work. Now for me, I was all about proving people wrong. That was my drug. I was addicted to proving people wrong. I was addicted to making people eat their words. And so for me, quitting wasn't an option. And so I decided to go to work. I decided to always choose to do the impossible. When I got to high school, I finally made my freshman baseball team. Not only that, I was playing basketball and football. Now, does anybody want to guess what position I was in football? Anybody got an idea? Yes?
Quarterback.
Tight end? Close?
Back
Wide receiver. Why? Because you need two hands to catch a football, right? I always chose to do the impossible. For basketball, I was a center. I had to be strong with the people trying to rip that ball away from me with one hand. And for baseball, I was the pitcher. Because everything they always told me was you have to have two hands to do this. You have to have two hands to control a football. You have to have two hands to bring it down in the traffic. You have to have two hands to hold a basketball down low. You have to be able to dribble with both sides. So you can imagine the look on people's face when I cross over and go to my left and be dribbling with my nub. The look on the opponent's face, they're kind of like, because like anything else, if you work for it, you can make it happen. Now, if you choose to do the impossible, there's three things you need to remember. The first thing, no matter what stage you're at in your life, there's always going to be other perceptions on what you're capable of. But if you choose to live up to others' expectations and their perceptions of you, you're limiting yourself. Because the only perception that really matters is your own. How you feel about you. If you put a limit on yourself, then you're gonna fail. You're not gonna reach that point that you need to. But if you live a limitless life, and by limitless I mean that you have high expectations to the point where you don't think you'll ever reach those expectations because you put them that high, so you're always climbing to get better. Number two, know who you're competing with. And this is like the first activity I'm going to have you guys do, and there's going to be a couple of them, so you might feel like you're in middle school for a second here, but I promise it's worth it. So the first activity is know who you're competing with. Okay? So I want you guys to turn to somebody around you, and I want you to think, who was your greatest competitor growing up? And then I want you to think, who is it now? I just want you to take a minute right now and kind of turn to someone around you and share. Alright, does everybody know who their greatest competitor is? Everybody have an idea? Everybody have an idea who your greatest competitor is? Alright, now let me tell you who my greatest competitor was. My greatest competitor was myself. Why was it myself? Because I strive to be better than I was every day. Now I want you guys to think about that. If you strive to be better every day than you were the day before, then you're going to be one step better each day. If you do that for 365 days, there's 365 days in a year if I'm not mistaken, correct? Correct. 365 days. You do that 365 days, you just make it one ounce of better. So you mentioned the scraps, Miss Kelly. If you had your scraps at 24% one day, you got it down to 23% the next day, 22% the next day, 21% the next day. Now, is that logical? I really don't know because I don't know how it works here. But if you just strive to be better in one way, whether that's encouraging one more employee, whether that's staying behind to try and get one more ounce of production, whether it's at home with your kids doing one more thing, just one, and you do that every day, you're going to be better than you were a year later. You're going to be a year better. We can always strive to be better, and that's something that a lot of society forgets. They feel like they can be content with where they're at. And that's where people fail, because contention leads to failure. But if you're striving to be better every day, just one little bit, that's going to be a long way down the road. That's going to go a long way. You're going to be so much better 10 years from now than you were today. If you just strive to do one more thing. Number 3, be prepared to put in the work. For me, I knew I had to outwork my team. I knew that if I didn't put in the work, I couldn't get out on the mountain. I knew I couldn't even get out on the field. I wouldn't make those teams if I didn't put in the work. If I just sat by and said, woe is me, and just tried out every year without trying to get better each day, it would have never worked out. So you always have to be prepared to put in the work. Nothing comes easy in life, no matter where you're at. I'm 26 years old. I've started a global nonprofit. I've started writing a book. I never would have thought I would write a book, seeing I was a C's get degrees student and all this stuff. But the reason I've done that is because I've always strived to get better, and I've always put in the work. I've never been afraid to work, because my entire life I've had to work for everything I ever got. Freshman year, I make the baseball team, right? Everything's going great. I'm excited. I'm so pumped, guys. Finally there, finally made it. Felt like I had finally reached my calling. We have 20 plus games. There's no way they're not going to play me in a bunch of these games. I'm one of the hardest throwers on the team. I throw strikes, which is rare for a freshman. You know, I throw strikes. Had a nasty slider. I was like, this is going to happen. I had outworked all my teammates. I knew I was about to play. Played 3 games. 3 games my freshman year out of 20 plus. 3 games they threw me out on the mound. And not only that, the first time they threw me out on the mound was against a team that we were guaranteed to get beat by. And by guaranteed, I mean they kicked our butts the year before. They beat us by 15 runs. These are corn-fed farm boys. Tough, I'm talking, they're probably 6'2", 260, walking off the bus with tattoos and chewing tobacco in their lips. You know, like you're like, okay, these guys can hit the ball a mile. You know, this is intimidating. And the coach, I remember, he goes, go warm up, Cooter. And I go to warm up, and I'm excited because I'm finally getting my chance to start. I'm excited. And I overhear the coach behind me, and I hear him say, well, we're probably going to lose these guys, so we might as well just throw Cooter out. What's it going to hurt? And that fired me up. Because 1, he didn't have faith in me. 2, I knew that I had worked for this test. I was prepared because I put in the work for this test. This test of facing these guys, so that when they stepped in that batter's box, I knew they hadn't outworked me, and I knew I was going to beat them. And I did. I beat them 1-0. My team gave me 1 run, and I beat them 1-0, pitched a complete game shutout. Come back the next, like 2 weeks later, we play against another team, Powerhouse, Mount Vernon High School. They're 4A, we were 2A. I beat them. Come back 2 weeks later, play another team, I beat them. I was undefeated my entire high school career. My entire high school career, and it started with my freshman year because I was prepared to face anybody. I wasn't afraid. I wasn't intimidated because I knew I had put in enough work to make it happen. Sophomore year was a little bit of the same. Pitched against all the teams that were guaranteed to get beat by. And the one-handed pitcher, beat them. Come into my junior year, I'm throwing the ball hard. And I was like, I'd always had this dream of being a college pitcher, and I could finally feel like this dream was going to come true. I was finally going to accomplish my goal of being a college pitcher. So I decided to go to the one man who I had been with this entire time, who I had been playing on all-star teams with when I was in middle school to high school. He was my pitching coach. I knew that I could go to this guy and he was going to help me. So I went to him and said, hey, coach, you know, I'm throwing the ball pretty hard. I think I can play college baseball. What do I need to do to make that a reality? What do I need to do? What do I need to work on? How can I make this happen? And that coach who had been with me this entire time looks at me, and this guy has a crazy, well, you guys know how Donald Trump does that when he speaks? Okay, so this guy does that, so I got into the impersonation because it's just fun for me. Little Sammy. Throw the ball pretty hard, but you think he has a breathing problem or something. There's not very many one-handed baseball players in college baseball. And I just think these are your last 4 years. Now, for someone who I worked so closely with, to immediately say that, it hurt. But the mindset that I had developed over the years, hearing every year that I wasn't going to be good enough, was, all right, man, you made the list. I'm proving you wrong. I want you to stop and think for a second. There we go. What would you do if an employee approached you the way I went to my coach? What would you do if an employee came up to you and said, boss, I want to be where you're at one day. What do I need to do to get there? Are you going to be that coach that tells your employee, nah, man, you're not going to make it. Stay where you're at. Be content there. You don't have what it takes to be here. Or are you going to do what a coach is supposed to do and invest in that employee? And by invest in them, I mean you're going to encourage them and empower them to try and help them to reach that goal of being where you're at. Giving them the information they need, giving them the instruction that they need, and trying to actually help them to reach that goal. Because that's what you guys are here at Spartan. I know your titles are supervisory roles, but you're coaches. You may have once been a player or an employee, but now you're in a coach role. Now you're in a leadership role. And so now, when those employees come to you, how are you going to feel? What are you going to do when they come to you? MTXE. Anybody got an idea of what this might stand for? It's a pseudonym. Anybody got an idea? You can take a guess. Anybody? Make the extra effort. Like I said, for me, I always knew I had to work. And I always knew that I had to work twice as hard as everybody else to get on the field, and 3 times as hard to surpass them. Now for you guys making the extra effort, that might be just doing that one thing to get better each day. That might be your extra effort. Or it might be more. And the extra effort doesn't stop here at Spartan. It carries on to home. It carries on to our families. It carries on to the way we treat people in our community. Making that extra effort is something that is a payment in itself, because you're going to receive back what you put into it. It's an investment. Once you make that extra effort, you're going to receive back what you put into it. People may have outplayed me, but they never outworked me. For me, my practice never ended at the field. When practice got done at 3 o'clock, I went home, I got a quick bite to eat, and I was back outside. I was stacking up soda cans on a dumpster and trying to nail them with every single pitch I had in my arsenal. Until I could nail every single soda can, I didn't stop. Because I wanted to be the best I could be. I wanted every single pitch to be able to throw a strike. I wanted to be able to be that person that whenever your coach is talking to you and he's telling you that somebody's out there outworking you, I wanted to be the one that was outworking you. I wanted to be that guy who they said was putting in more time than you were. And that's how you guys have to be about everything. You have to be willing to put in that time and make that extra effort if you want the outcome. Now, my junior year, what came with being the one-handed pitcher and being the main relief pitcher for DuQuoin was cameras, right? News stories everywhere. One-handed pitcher. You gotta have it, right? And at the time, I was thinking, man, I wish these cameras would just leave me alone. You know, I don't want to be the one-handed pitcher. I want to be the pitcher. I don't want to be the one-handed pitcher. I just want to be the pitcher. But one of those news stories led to the greatest moment of my life. I get a phone call from this camp out in Chesterfield, Missouri, called Camp No Limits, and they reach out and say, hey, we read this article about you. We love what you're doing. We'd love for you to come and show our kids some sports. Let's come work with them in sports. I was pumped. You know, I had a freshman football coach who actually had the same limb difference as me and kind of mentored me growing up. And so to be able to give that back to kids was amazing. But when I growing up in that small town, I thought it was me, that freshman football coach, Jim Abbott, and that was it. I thought we were the only amputees on the planet. I didn't know any others existed. So when I heard this, I was like, absolutely, I want to come work with them. Now, if anybody has an attraction or affection towards soccer, I apologize now, because you're probably going to hate me. We get to this camp, we're wrapped around a little fire pit, and each kid's introducing themselves. Now, most of these kids, mind you, are missing a hand, fingers, 2 hands. Some of them are missing their feet, but most of them had both feet. We're going around a circle. Hi, I'm Timmy. I play soccer. Hi, I'm Jimmy. I play soccer. Hi, I'm Billy. I play soccer. You guys see a pattern here? Literally 14 more. Hi, I play soccer. I play soccer. I play soccer. Guess me? Hi, I'm Sam Coonert. I play baseball, basketball, football, hunt, fish, do weight training. You play soccer? No, man, that's a sin in my hometown. And then this 17-year-old kid right here starts wondering, why are these kids only playing one sport? Why are they being subjected to one sport, exposed to one sport? So I got to talking to a mom, because a 17-year-old's about to tell a mom how to raise her child, right? That's going to work out pretty good, huh? And so I get to talking to this mom, I'm like, ma'am, why is your child being subjected to only one sport? They're young. They need to be exposed to multiple sports. They need to be exposed to sports that challenge them. life's not going to be easy. They're going to face challenges. It's better for them to start facing them now through sport than to wait down the road. She looked at me, she goes, Sam, we just feel like they're going to have a better chance of success if we keep them in soccer. We feel like anything else they're going to fail. And honestly, that didn't sit right with me. Because one, I'm a competitor. Two, I'm an athlete. And athletes know that failure is a part of life. Failure is a part of the game. Failure is how we grow. Failure is what we learn from. We have to fail in order to learn how to succeed. So I start telling the mom that, and instantly I see, this is going nowhere. This lady doesn't care. She's like, this 17-year-old kid is telling me how to raise my child? And so I'm like, okay, backup plan. Call in the reinforcements. Here comes mom. Mom, get these parents out of my hair. Just give me an hour with these kids. Just an hour. She goes, takes these parents into a little impromptu one-on-one parent session, and I take these kids and I run them through drills. I teach them how to throw and catch a baseball doing my glove transfer. I teach them how to dribble a basketball between the legs, how to shoot, how to do layups, how to do all the different drills that you guys learn with basketball. Tell them how to throw and catch a football, how to go out of a defensive stance, how to block, how to kick, how to do all of these things that they were being held back from. And what I found was raw, God-given talent that was being wasted because they were afraid of failure, because their parents were afraid of failure. And at 17 years old, I decided that I was going to change that I was going to have a way to change that. And I'm big into my faith, and if you want to come talk to me about that anytime, you're more than welcome. But I felt like the man upstairs was talking to me and said, "You've got to change this. You've got to do this." And so when I heard that, I instantly decided I want to start a camp where kids come and learn mainstream organized sports for people who look just like them, who have been there and made it happen. Now, like I said, I was a seasoned degree student. I wasn't the most academic, I wasn't the one who wanted to be in school other than to play sports. And so when I looked across the passenger seat at my mom, I said, "Mom, I want to start a camp for kids with limb difference. I want to start a whole nonprofit, and I want to teach them how to play mainstream sports, and I want them to learn from coaches like that." I'm pretty sure this was my mom's reaction. I'm pretty sure she looked at me with like two heads there. She's like, "What? That came from my son?" And so that summer we spent time trying to wonder, what are we going to name this foundation? What are we going to name it? Well, my entire life growing up, people said I had a disability. And I don't agree with that. Because if you look up the term disability, it's lame, limp, can't move, can't think. I can do all that. And it always pissed me off when they said that. It made me so mad. To the fact, whenever I was thinking of a name, I wanted the exact opposite. What's the exact opposite of disability? Ability. What did I call my left hand growing up? My nub. I was like, boom, nub ability. There we go. Start the shirts, right? I was pumped. Going into my senior year, I start the foundation work, start putting everything together for that. But I still have to make my dream come true of getting a college scholarship. I got to make my dream come true of playing college baseball. So we get to senior year. I decided to give up one of my passions. I decided to give up basketball to focus on my goal, to focus on making it happen, to be that college baseball player, to be that college pitcher, to make my dream happen. And when I did that, I worked out, and by the end of football season, I was getting phone calls from colleges. And one college in particular stood out because they said, "Hey, we want you to come visit our campus. We don't want to just tell you we're watching you. We want you to come visit our campus. We want you to see everything. We want you to sit down with our coach." So instantly I'm thinking, these guys are really interested. Absolutely, I want it. Like this is it. Like my dream's like right there. I'm so excited. And so I go through this campus, and I'm loving it, man. I mean, it was a gorgeous campus. The field was amazing. It was one of the prettiest fields I've ever seen. I was so pumped, ready to be there. I was ready to sign that day, and I really felt like today is the day that my dream's going to be attained. Today is the day that it's going to happen. And so I go to the visit, and after the visit, we go and sit down with the head coach. I sit down in his office. It's just me and him. Next thing you know, he pulls his chair up to me. You know how like when you're in trouble, somebody pulls their chair up, like a parent whenever you're growing up, they pull it up and you're like, uh-oh, what did you find out? You know? And I'm thinking, I must have walked on the wrong patch of grass. Something went wrong here. He looks at me and goes, Sam, you're the type of leader that we look for in this team. You're everything we look for in a captain. You're everything we look for in a player. But we don't know if you're physically capable of playing this level. We're going to continue to watch you, but that's all we can tell you. Now, there's a lot of things that go through your mind at a moment like this. And for people, whenever they face adversity again, there's a lot of things that probably come to your mind. You probably have all these excuses come to why you should quit, why you should give up, why would I continue going on? But let me tell you what my mind was saying. Coach, I'll see you next spring. That's what my mind was saying. That's the mindset that I had. Now I want you to think, if your dream was right there, and you were ready to, and you were almost about to attain it, and then all of a sudden, you're handed that setback, you're handed that adversity, how would you feel? And I just want you to think of that to yourself as I go on to the next slide. I just want you to think, how would you feel if your dream was right there and all of a sudden you were that setback? Are you going to have that same attitude as I did, which I hope you will after this, to go out there and make it happen? Or are you just going to sit back and stay where you're at and be content? And I hope you choose to make it happen. Comes the senior year, we were taught it all over town about being the most talented baseball team to ever come to Duke. We had a really good junior season. Our seniors were back. We had probably 12 seniors. We knew we were going to the state championship. We knew it. We knew it whenever we came in as freshmen. We knew our senior year we were going to go to the state championship. Duke had never made it to the state tournament, and we were going to take it to the state championship. We started off the year, first game, playing against a big state rival opponent, and we beat them in a 1-0 showdown. Then we dropped 8 games straight. 8 games. I mean, you know how the feeling of losing felt? Like, it started becoming a ritual there. And I mean, it felt so bad. But you know, sometimes all it takes is one victory to put you on the path to success. Just one. And we knew that. All we needed was one victory. So as a team, we decided to do more than be a team. We decided to come together as a family. We put all of our differences aside and we met at my house for dinner and had a family-style dinner. We did that every week. And after that, I actually got the chance to go in and pitch against another state rival opponent in Freeburg and beat them. And that was win number 2. We then won 16 straight. We lost 3 more games that year, 2 of them being in the state tournament. Now, one thing we did was that we celebrated all victories, both big and small. We celebrated if it was over the team we knew we were going to beat and blow out, and we absolutely celebrated if we beat one of the big teams from Chicago who was coming down and guaranteed to blow us out. You know, we celebrated everything, and that's what you guys have to realize. Is that when you celebrate your employees, when you celebrate their success, that sense of accomplishment is addictive. They're going to strive to reach that feeling. They want that feeling. So I want you to think, right now, how are you celebrating the victories right now? What are you doing to celebrate your employees? Are you taking them out for a burger? Are you doing anything? Are you telling them good job? Are you giving them a letter of accommodation? Are you doing anything for them right now? And if you're not, I want you to think, how can you celebrate your team victories? Now, if you all have your phone or a piece of paper, I want you to write that down on a piece of paper right now if you can. All right, I think Miss Kelly's going to pass out a piece of paper for you. So I want you to write that down. I want you to really think to yourself, how can I celebrate my team's victories? Because again, this is your team. Your employees under you are your team. They're your players. You're the coach. How can you help get that sense of accomplishment? How can you make that feeling of accomplishment addictive? What can you do?
Doug, can I put you on the spot real quick? Doug's a new WTO. What did you do the other day to celebrate your team's success? What? About a pizza? What'd they do? That made you do that?
They really pulled together and started making condos. Put together as a team, showed up.
It's awesome, man. And you know what? They're probably going to come back to you because they're going to want that pizza again, right? They're going to keep going. They're going to keep working for it. Because even the smallest accomplishment, even the smallest award is addicting, especially to a competitive person. They want that sense of accomplishment. They want that win. They want that victory. And if you as a coach provide that for them, you become more than just a coach and a team. You become a family. A dream attained. So, at the end of my senior year, towards the end of the senior season, I get that call from Greenville. Hey man, are you ready to sign? I was like, yeah man, I was ready last fall when you guys had me out to the campus. Absolutely, I'm ready. And so I want to talk to you guys a little bit about this picture, because this picture is very powerful to me. First, this lovely lady right here, this is my mother. This slick looking bald guy right here, that's my dad. Here's my head baseball coach, Coach Kraft. This is my athletic director. He kind of mentored me throughout. You know, he was also a guidance counselor in school, so he was somebody who felt really important to me, who I wanted a part of that special day. And I want to point one person out to you. And this person makes this picture so powerful. You guys remember that pitching coach? The one who told me that I would never play college baseball? Here's that pitching coach. So he forever knows that the one-handed kid who he said would never play college baseball, who said that this was his last 4 years, proved him wrong. And I sent him a picture like this with a frame saying thank you for pushing me. That's what I sent him. And by sending him that, he'll forever know I proved him wrong. And that means the world to me. And that's what makes this dream so much more powerful, because I did it despite others telling me I wouldn't. The better you get, the humbler you get. My head football coach would make us say that after every single win. And we were a winning football team. We had 27 consecutive playoff appearances. We were a winning football team. And I really wish I would have taken that to heart. Because after I achieved that dream, I became very prideful. I stopped thanking the people who were helping me make those dreams happen and started taking credit for it. Started thinking this was all me. I did everything here. It was no one other than myself. And sometimes, life has a way of waking you up. In 2011, I got to go to Game 6 of the World Series to watch the St. Louis Cardinals beat the crap out of the Texas Rangers. Well, actually, they came back and beat them. And then the next game, I came back into town to watch them really destroy the Texas Rangers and celebrate in the city. And it was amazing. It was an atmosphere that I never think I'll ever be a part of again, because it was just that one time. It was just amazing. I wake up the next day and I feel really dizzy and I feel sick and I'm running 103 fever. I don't know what's going on. So I did what any college kid would do. I called my mom. Said, Mom, I'm not feeling very good. I'm dizzy. I feel weak. I'm running this fever. She talks to me, and then she talks to my roommate, tells my roommate to watch me. I continue to run 103 fever towards that night. So she calls, says, hey, I'm on my way to come get you. So she drives 2 hours up to campus, picks me up, takes me home. Next day I wake up, I'm feeling a little bit better, start eating. I message all my professors, say, hey, I'll be back on Tuesday, I'll be back in class. Wake up on Tuesday, I can't pick myself up off the pillow. I can't pick myself up off the couch. I'm so weak. And here I was in the best shape of my life after completing our baseball training for fall ball. I had completed that insanity workout that you see on TV all the time. I mean, I was in the best shape of my life, but I couldn't pick my head up off of the pillow. My dad had to come home and carry his 6'5", 225-pound son up a flight of stairs, put me out in the car, and drive me to Carbondale Memorial Hospital. We get to Carbondale Memorial Hospital ER. They instantly put me in an IV and they start running tests, and they say, hey man, we gotta hospitalize this kid right now. He's got a dangerously enlarged liver and spleen. We need to start treating him right now. That day was the first of a week. at that hospital. That entire week I ran 106 fever, had hallucinations, had violent chills to the point where it felt like somebody was standing over my body and literally shaking the life out of me. I had lost 20 pounds in that first week. They were testing me for everything on the moon. I took this mono test 9 times. I was poked and prodded so much you would have thought I was a Texas barbecue. And they were testing for everything and nothing was coming back. And so on day 7, they decide to go and do a lymph node biopsy. So they go and they take this lymph node biopsy and they send it off into like Mayo Clinic and all these other big hospitals. And they said, well, we don't know what we can do for him anymore, so let's ship him off to St. Louis University. He's not getting any better. Let's ship him off to St. Louis University Hospital, get him the help he needs. They send me to that hospital. I get there, I get checked into my room. My mom's phone rings. She answers it. She hits her knees crying. She whispers something to my dad. Now my dad, he's this big farm boy. He's been farming since he was 3 years old, driving a tractor with books on the blocks. You know, he was that kind of farmer. Never seen him cry a day in my life. My dad falls to the ground crying. Instantly I'm like, this isn't good. You know, this is about to be bad. What's on the other end of that phone line? And so they go and they talk to me. Now I want you to imagine that one day you're having the best day of your life, in the best shape of your life, and imagine the next day, just a few days later, or a week later, you're told your life is over. Now, I put it on there because I can't remember how to say it. But this is what it's called. It's called acute plasmablastic multicentric Castleman's disease. Now, this is a study of 2018. In 2018, they have treatment for it. In 2011, when I had it, there was no treatment for it. And I was given a few weeks to live, and that was it. They tried to make me comfortable. That was all they could do. They couldn't get anything to work. They couldn't get my fevers to go away. They couldn't get my organs to stop failing. They couldn't get me to stop losing weight, to stop the nausea, everything. I was on my deathbed, literally, from the best shape of my life to deathbed in just a week. And when my parents told me that I had this, and they told me that it was time to fight, I started looking back at my life and wondering about the person I had been. So I wanted to compare this to sports because, like I said, sports are everything to me. And so whenever I was looking back at my life, I got to thinking, did I play to the whistle? Did I leave it all on the field? Do I have any regrets? Did I play to win, or was I just going through the motions? And was I the leader that I needed to be? So let's start with, did I play to the whistle? Did I feel like from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed, I was the best possible person, the best possible athlete, the best possible son that I could be? Answer, no. Did I leave it all on the field? Did I give my all for my team? Did I give my all for my family? Did I give my all for my foundation? Did I do everything I could for everyone else and myself? Answer, no. When I look back at the game, can I say I had no regrets? No. Can I say that I was playing through the motion, or playing to win, not going through the motions? No. Was I the leader that my team needed me to be? No. So instantly I'm laying there, and like I said, I'm a faithful guy. So what that translates to was, did I think I was going where I thought I was going to go when I was a kid? Answer, no. So I did what any kid would do. I grabbed my phone, and I wanted to ask everybody who I'd ever wronged, anybody who I had ever hurt, anybody I'd ever bullied, anybody who ever bullied me, anybody who I'd ever had a negative interaction with, and apologize to them. And really reach out and own what I had done, but try and make it right. And so I did what any kid would do. I grabbed my phone, and instead of calling, because we don't call at my age, right? I started texting every single person in my contact list who I felt like I had done something wrong to. Family, friends, everybody. Because I was told I only had a few weeks to live, right? I didn't have much time. I needed to make it right now. And throughout that week, I continued to go downhill, continued to not get any better, continued to basically be dying, had preachers coming in praying for me. It came to the point where my mom and dad gave me back to the Greek. Creator. I want you to imagine how bad that is. My parents, who had loved me, who had supported me and everything, gave me back. He said, if you're meant to take him, take him. We can't watch him suffer no more. If you're meant to take him, take him. My school, and everybody had this big prayer visual. All these churches had this prayer visual. And that night, this is probably night 13, I went to my Creator and I said, God, if you're meant to take me now, I understand. I thank you for this life you've given me. I thank you for everything you've done. I thank you for the family. I thank you for nobility. I thank you for allowing me to be a part of this life to what you've given me. Now this whole time I was thinking, man, I'm not going to get to be Uncle Sam. I'm not going to get to get married. I'm not going to get to see what happens with nobility. You know, my life's over. That's what I'm thinking in my head. So I reached out in a desperate manner and I asked God for a second chance. Next day, I woke up. But before I did, I want you guys to know. Anybody know who this guy is? Any St. Louis Rams fans in here? Any old St. Louis Rams fan? No? This guy's name is Aeneas Williams. And before I get to the second part of my story, I want to go over Aeneas, because Aeneas is somebody who really stands out to me as both an athlete and as a person. If you watch NFL football wives, I encourage you to watch this one. This is really powerful. Aeneas says, begin with the end in mind and die empty. Meaning basically, get everything you have in the life you have. Give everything you have so that when you go to the grave, you go to the grave empty. You've given everything you had in this life, so you know that when you go to the grave, there's nothing else you could have done. Live out your full potential in life, go to the grave empty, and don't waste anything. Which is exactly what I was feeling like. I felt like I was wasting so much by going to the grave at that time. And by God giving me that second chance, which obviously I got that second chance if I'm standing in front of you guys today, that I knew that I needed to go to the grave empty. And I knew I needed to devote myself in order to go to the grave empty. Now I want you guys to write these down. Okay? These are the 5 keys to becoming a game changer. Okay? And they might sound very similar to what you just heard. Ready? Number 1, play to the whistle. From the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, give everything you have in every aspect of your life. Number 2, leave it all on the field. Meaning you gave everything. You gave all of your effort. You gave everything you had. Number 3, give your maximum effort. Maximum meaning that you're exhausted at the end of the day. Whether that's exhausted as a parent, exhausted as a worker, exhausted as a supervisor, you're exhausted because you gave everything. And you have no regrets. You have no regrets on what you did that day or what you could have done. Number 4, play to win. Don't play to not lose. Have you ever heard that before? If you played sports, you probably heard a coach say that to you. Play to win. Don't play to not lose. If you're playing to not lose, you're holding yourself back. And you're not going to reach that full potential that you can. But if you're playing to win, you're giving everything you have. You're already doing all these. And number 5, be the leader that your team needs. Now, needs is capitalized for a reason. Because we can all be a leader that we want to be. We all see leaders that we want to be. But we're not all the leaders that our team needs. You need to see what your team needs and be that leader. If it's a quiet leader, if it's a vocal leader, if it's that affectionate leader, if it's somebody to just be a hard ass and push them, you have to be that leader. You have to be willing to be that leader. Okay, so next day, wake up. I'm pink. This is my victory dance when I find out I don't have cancer. So I hope you guys enjoy this. These are the best dance moves you've ever seen. And this is Can't Touch This. Because that was the song I went up to the iPod and picked whenever that doctor told me that I didn't have this Casper's disease. They told me that I didn't have mono. They couldn't figure out how I got better. I had the top doctors in the nation perplexed at how I got better. enough of that. So I go on to my first season, I make my debut for the Greenville Panthers, and it was amazing. I finally reached my dream. I was playing ball well. I loved my team. I loved the atmosphere I was in. But something to remember, that whenever you're in a place of comfort, always remember that setbacks and failures will happen. I ended up messing up my foot, and not only that, my grades really plummeted from being out of school so long with that illness. So this is me on crutches. Now this is a funny little story. I had to have reconstructive foot surgery because I was throwing a bullpen, and whenever I came over on my follow through, my foot caught the front board of the bullpen and it twisted inward. And so it split a tendon across my foot, and this is kind of funny. There was an extra bone in my foot, so when the doctor goes, he's like, you have an extra bone in your foot. I was like, oh, there's my left hand. You know, I got to think of that, and then I get out of surgery, and there's this nurse, and I mean, she is hard-headed, one of those stubborn nurses, you know, maybe not the most polite ladies, you know, and I get out there, and she has a scooter and a walker. She goes, pick one. I'll take the crutches. Son, you have one hand. You cannot do crutches. I said, ma'am, I'm an athlete. Give me the crutches. Well, you know what? You're going to have to do a little obstacle course with these crutches before I let you. So, okay, so I took one of the crutches, and I raised the bar up a little bit here, a little handle, and I took the other crutch, and I put it under, and I walked on it like I had walked on it before, and she goes, all right, you'll take the crutches. I was like, yes, because I didn't want any special treatment. Like I said, I didn't want to be the one-handed pitcher. I didn't want to be treated any different for how I was made. I didn't want that. And so whenever it came to how I lived my life, I lived it just like everyone else. If one of my teammates would have gotten hurt, they would have been on crutches. I was going to be on crutches. Now something, whenever you get comfortable in life, setbacks and failures are going to happen. Failures are going to happen. I want you to really get that in your mind. Failures are going to happen. If you've lived life long enough, you understand that they're going to happen. Life doesn't go great 100% of the time. You could honestly say that life's a gravel road. We've got potholes here and there that knock us off, but if we continue down that gravel road, there's something greater at the end of the road, right? How you bounce back from those failures is what defines you. To this day, because my college closed its doors, so my record stands. I have the ERA record for Moorland College of a 1.79. That was my ERA throughout that year. I was also the saves. I ended up getting 2 saves in regionals. It was one save in regionals and did some relief pitching in regionals. But it was an amazing year. I was finally back on my own. I got picked up by a college, by a coach who had coached me before as a kid, and he reached out to me and said, "Hey, I want you to come and be a captain for my team. I want you to come and help me start this first year baseball program." And we went all the way to regionals in our first year, and it was just an amazing experience. So this is actually me pitching in that regional game. And this is the save. And excuse my mother's commentary, I do not have 1 ounce of film that doesn't have her commentary on it. Which is why the crutches video was silenced. You're welcome.
You gotta be kidding.
That's my mom. Now the next year, first practice of the season, I'm throwing a bullpen. I throw bullpens all year long. And I was throwing a fastball, which is my go-to. I had gotten it about up to around 90, 91 miles per hour. I was throwing the ball really hard, and I threw that fastball like I had 1,000 times before. And with it went my shoulder. And it was over. My baseball career was over. I knew it was over as soon as I threw that pitch. I didn't even need to go to the doctor. I knew it was gone. I went to the doctor anyway. He told me it was over. And I remember just being in a state of depression to the point where I was like, what am I going to do now? Like, this is the sport I gave everything to. I was supposed to go play pro. Like, well, what am I going to do now? What's going to happen now? And then this coach, right here, Coach Bastion, the same coach that recruited me, our pitching coach, quit a week after I got hurt. And so a week after that, he called me and said, hey, how would you like to keep your scholarship and come and coach our pitchers? But you'll do strength and conditioning and you'll do the pitch coaching. Because I have faith in you, because you're such a hard worker. You put in more work than anybody. I want you to rub that off on your teammates. I want you to go and coach your peers. Now, when that first happened, I was nervous, man, because I mean, these are the guys I was playing with. These were my teammates. These were the guys we went out celebrating with whenever we were 21. You know, it was those guys. They were my brothers. And now I've got to step up into that leadership role. And I'm sure some of you guys have probably had to step up into a leadership role, and some of your peers are down on the line. Some of your peers are under you right now as employees. So this is where we have that similarity. I want you guys to take a second to name one person, not related, that was there for you and still would be if you asked. It could be somebody here. It could be somebody at home. But I want you to take one moment. Like I said, mine is Coach Bastion. That man, I know that if I called him right now, he would answer his phone. Because he's always been there for me. And he'll continue to be there for me. So if you have one person, I want you to write that person down. Because I want you to send them a thank you at some point. On your own. I want you to send a thank you to them because you know they've had your back no matter what. I want you to turn to someone near you and share who it is and why. Who is that one person, not related, that was there for you? Or who would be there for you? I'll give you guys a minute. I want you guys to remember this. Supervisors are coaches. Like I said, many of you are players, and now you're coaches of Spartan. It is on you to get the best out of every single employee. Now this is where accountability comes. As coaches, we have more of accountability than players. So it's on you to get the best out of every single employee, from the bottom to the top. It is on you to help the staff under you achieve their dreams and aspirations within Spartan. The employees under you are your players. Remember that. You're the coach. You're the leader. You're the one who has to be there. You're the one who has to play that leadership role. You can't sink back into a player role. You have to keep that leadership role. You have to be accountable. It is your job to make every single one of them feel as valuable as the next. And you are responsible for every victory or defeat, every failure, and every growth. Meaning when your team fails, it's on you to teach them how to grow. It's on you to show them the way to grow from that failure. It's on you to keep them from keep failing and from them getting content with where they're at. It's on you to push them. It's on you to drive them. It's on you to get the best effort out of them that you can. My granddaddy once told me, and he's gone, but he's a very successful businessman. He told me he made every employee feel important and respected. Whether that was the janitorial staff all the way up to administration, he made it a mission to know every single one of their names. And I encourage you guys to do the same, because when you make everyone else feel invested in the mission, it's going to push your mission farther. It's going to get more. You're going to get more out of that mission than you ever expected, because everyone's going to feel invested. Now, like I said, I didn't know if I was ever going to get married. I didn't know if I was going to ever be able to find the love of my life. I didn't know if I was ever going to get to be Uncle Sam. I didn't know that I would ever be able to see where Double Ability went, see what I could do, what more I could do. If you saw John O'Leary speak, he always asked you, what more could you do? I didn't know what more I could do at that point. And then with that second chance of life that God gave me, I knew what my mission in life was. I knew it was for Novability. I knew it was to go out and serve others and not myself. Now, we're going to play a game, okay? Top outstanding young Americans, okay? Which person does not belong? Which person? Anybody got an idea? Can everybody see back there? Can you see back there? It's me dressed up as Captain Hook, if that helps. I think that one, right? Can you believe they gave that knucklehead an award? Especially one like that. And let alone they gave me 3 of them, which is crazy. Because I don't take credit for my success. My success comes from the team that I've built, the families that I've built, my family of coaches, my team of coaches that I've built from all over the country to help me with my foundation. That's what's made my success. That's what's helped me to be where I'm at. Now, there's a quote that I absolutely love. It's by John Maxwell. Does everybody know who John Maxwell is? He's one of the top motivational speakers out there. And he's an author and everything. He has this quote. A successful person finds the right place for himself. But a successful leader finds the right place for others. To me, that's super powerful. Because as the leaders of Spartan, it's on you to find the right place for your employees. It's on you to get the best out of them. That's on you. Imagine the power of having a mentor that looks like you. I mentioned briefly that I had a freshman football coach who had a limb difference as me, who mentored me growing up. And so I had Coach Boyette, and then I had Jim Abbott, who was this major league pitcher, and I watched him on TV, and I knew that I could do it because I saw him do it. And so whenever I thought about Novability, I knew that I wanted coaches that had limb differences similar to the kid so that the kid could relate. They could see this guy or this girl who had achieved at the highest levels, who had differences exactly like them, do it and know that they could do it. So this is the first year of Novability Athletics Foundation. I'm going to take you through all 7 years. We had 19 different campers come from all over the country at Greenville College, where I was going to school, and 7 coaches who I had recruited via social media stalking, Google, Twitter, ways that are probably seen as creepy nowadays, you know, but it worked out. It's still working out. That's my basic strategy. I haven't changed. Year 2, grew to 42 in different campers. We moved it back to my hometown, Du Quoin, because somehow they got this awesome grant to do these amazing college-style facilities. Year 3, grew to 74 and 40-plus coaches. Year 4, 101 different campers, 50-plus coaches. Year 5, 136 on different campers, 60-plus coaches. Year 6, 156 on different campers, 42 different states represented in 2 other countries, and 70-plus coaches coming to Du Quoin, Illinois, a town of 6,500 people. Year 7, and this is this past summer, 179 on different campers, 43 different states, 3 other countries, 80-plus coaches. Now I'm just a 26-year-old small-town boy who decided to never place limitations on it. And I want to tell you guys why it's so important that you guys are seeing this growth. Because by having me here today, Spartan L&P became a corporate sponsor of Novability Athletics Foundation. Because of you guys, you're going to make it where we can have more camps for these kids, reach more kids, and change lives. So for that, I want you guys to give yourself a hand because you guys are making it happen. Now this is where all of our kids come from. I just wanted to give you guys a visual so you can see. And we have the 3 other countries was Canada, Australia, and the United Kingdom. These are the locations of Novability camps today. We have, of course, our all-sports summer camp, which is in Du Quoin, Illinois. We're doing a Dallas camp here in November. We're doing a Sparta outdoors camp at the Sparta World Shooting Complex. Nashville, Tennessee, we did one at Vanderbilt, and we're planning on going back to Vanderbilt this year. Fort Myers, Florida, we do that one with the Minnesota Twins at their spring training facilities. Seattle, Washington, we just recently got back. I don't know if you've seen the one-handed linebacker who plays for the Seattle Seahawks. We actually went out and got to meet him. You might have seen our kids on ESPN he stayed after the game and came out and signed autographs and gave him a speech and everything. We were trending all over ESPN. Boise, Idaho, we do a snow sports camp because for me, it's about getting these kids off the couch, getting them away from technology and getting them back out into nature, getting them back out into sports. And then St. Louis, Missouri, we partnered with the St. Louis Cardinals at one point, and we're hoping to do that again. And then these are to be determined because we're working on locations, but we're going to have a wrestling clinic and we're going to have an extreme water sports because why not, right? It's a sport. This is Movavi. I want to show you guys where your support's going.
Welcome to To know I can meet you. We know you're gonna need to. What else you going to lose? I know I need to know I can beat you. You know you need to. What else you going to do? Knowing I don't need to. I take a breath and breathe. All the stress and evil. We're all just different people. Stop making up excuses. You don't want to challenge people. Step up to the point and watch out fast. I take the lead, dude. With speed, dude. Levelability is deep. Cruise and cooler, reaching heights that no one else has ever reached to because he never quit. Trying to thread the needle. And when he steps up to the line, you know he's pitching heat. I know I don't need to know I can beat you. You know you're gonna need to. Or else you're going to lose. I know I need to know I can beat you. You know you're gonna need to.
Well, yes, the video's not gonna play well. So this is something I want to challenge you guys today. I want to challenge you guys to become game changers here at Spartan. So if you believe in becoming a game changer for Spartan, I want you to stand up and I want you to say this pledge with me. So if you really feel confident in becoming a game changer for Spartan, I want you to stand up and say this pledge with me. Can you guys read it back there? If you want, you can come up here and see it. We can actually hand out these cards, Kelly. That'll probably help you guys out a little bit. You can just read off the card too. And what I have here for you guys today is after you say this pledge, I've got this pledge for you, so it can be like your Notre Dame play to win sign. You guys can see that every day and know how you can be a game changer. So you guys ready? All right, we'll start on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I pledge to always play to the whistle, to make every employee feel as important as the rest, to always give my maximum effort and live with no regrets, to dedicate my all to help all in my team achieve their goals as Spartan, no matter how extreme. I will be the leader that my team needs me to be. I will be a game changer for Spartan MLP. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. And then this is the last thing, all right? I'm a big sports guy. I like shiny things and loud noises, okay? That's just me. I'm going to yell Spartan LMP, you are. And I want you guys to yell the loudest game changer you can. This is your one chance to really yell at work. All right? You guys ready? Spartan LMP, you are! Yeah! Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. I have one more short story for you. And this is just one. I'm gonna allow you guys to ask me any questions you want, and I'm gonna leave you with one short story. You guys can sit back down quick. All right.
Well, sorry. I just want to say thanks for the message. I think about the adversity that you've been through. I mean, obviously, it's a little different what we go through every day, but fighting scrap issues, time issues, personnel issues, all those in the big scheme of things, are minor. And I think you set an example for if you can overcome what you have. It's minor stuff that we're dealing with every day. So I think let's just keep that in mind. That really hit home with the family. The comment. I think that's something that we try to promote here with our culture. And I think we're all one family, Spartan family. So appreciate the message. Really appreciate what you've done for the team here and what you're doing
I'm glad you said that, there's bigger things. I discovered at camp this year something bigger. So this is Will. As you can see, that is not safe. You guys see where his glove's at? It's on his head. That's not safe. He throws a line drive there. I mean, there is no way, And so Will gets there to camp, and he spends 3 days with me doing more private one-on-one sessions. And I get to hear Will's story. Will had sarcoma twice at this point, with the second time resulting in the amputation of his arm just below the shoulder. And I got to working with Will, and I taught him glove transfer, and got him. He was actually in the documentary fielding it from 10 feet away after just learning this glove transfer in those 3 days, and just saw such a spirit in this kid. And so that third day of camp, his mom pulls me over and says, "Hey Sam, will you please pray for Will?" I say, "Yeah, absolutely. What's going on?" His cancer's back, and it's in his lungs. Third time in his lungs. And instantly right there, I knew that there was bigger things than mobility. There was bigger things than what I was doing, what I was trying to do. There was bigger things in life. I want you guys to really try to look out there and find those bigger things. So we had a chapel service, and John O'Leary was actually the speaker at our chapel service. And I went over to John. I said, "John, I hate to be a buzzkill on your speaking." I said, "But man, this is something we have to address." He said, "Brother, do it. Let's take care of this." And so I went up to the front of that camp, and this just shows the family atmosphere that Movavi has built. And I said, "Hey, if anybody would like to come and lay hands on Will right now and pray for this boy, please come up." Our entire camp came up and put hands on that kid. I continued to follow Will long after camp, and I had to see posts like this. He's hurting. He can't keep anything down. 5 pounds down since Monday. He's on his 4th anti-nausea med. The chemo wasn't helping. He's in all kinds of experimental procedures. Nothing's helping him. He's not getting any better. And so I got to thinking, one thing that John O'Leary, my mentor, asked every single one of his crowd is, what more can he do? What more can I do? And I got to thinking about that. And I remember at camp, Will loved the Kansas City Royals. Whenever we were doing drills, he pretended he was a Kansas City Royal pitcher. He absolutely loved them. And even though I'm a 26-year-old kid, basically still, I decided to reach out to the Kansas City Royals. And I decided I wasn't going to take no for an answer, and I was going to talk to whoever I had to try and give this boy a day to re-energize his spirits to fight. And I'm not saying like a make-a-wish day, and that's what I told him. I said, I don't want to make a wish day. I don't want him to feel like he's dying. I want him to feel like it's time to fight. I want to give him that joy to fight. And so I decided to call the Kansas City Royals, and Dan Glass, the owner of the Royals, actually donated his box seats to Will that day. And he had no idea. Kansas City is about a 5.5-hour drive from me, so I decided to just go up and drive and surprise him at lunch. And so I went and surprised Will. And he had no idea it was coming, and then I heard he wanted to play Top Golf, so I took him over to Top Golf, and we played some Top Golf for a little while. And then we went to his favorite team and watched the Kansas City Royals game. This kid left with that smile on his face, and I heard him tell the Kansas City Royals, "Thank you so much for all your support. I love you guys. I'm ready to fight." And that to me made it all worth it. That to me was bigger than anything I've ever done, to give this kid that spirit to fight. Now, you guys, too often we see it that we have to be the top dogs in the nation, or the top dogs anywhere at, to make a difference. But I want you to leave you with this. There's more sheep in the valley than there are on that mountaintop. That mountaintop runs out. If you're in the valley brushing shoulders, you guys can make more of a change than someone up top. So I want to thank you guys so much for having me today. I'm going to have a video and photo testimonial. If you guys want to take a photo with me, I mean, you don't have to, but if you want to, I love taking photos with you guys. I love to talk to all of you. And then if you want to do a video testimonial, if there's something today that really stuck out, you want to help me get into more corporations to really get this going and help me spread the word about mobility, I please encourage you to do that. But thank you guys so much for having me today. I really appreciate it, and I love it, and you guys are all game changers. Thank you. Oh, yes, yes. with your pledge cards that we gave you, there's a place where you can sign your name. And so we're going to stick this up somewhere. I think Miss Kelly has an idea. And this is your pledge. This is your play to win. I want you guys every day to see this when you're on your way to work to remind you. And what we're going to do with that pledge card is, if you will, fill in your name, tape it underneath, showing that you made that pledge. Show your employees the pledge that you made. Show the employees the pledge that you took to make all their dreams and aspirations happen here in Spartan, to become a family, to push them to be the very best. This is for you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then also there's these wristbands I'd love for you guys to have so you can show what you support. This is the Movavi wristbands. It has our website on it, it has everything. So, all right, that's that. Thank you.